Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome once again, as always, to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. You join me today for day 31 of the UK lockdown, where currently I'm out and about first thing in the morning, taking my daily exercise and bringing you guys along for the ride as always. Now, today, folks, I've returned back to the countryside, and the reason for doing that is twofold. I don't get to come out to the countryside as often as I'd like these days. But today, I've made the journey, number one, to give little Lucy a walk. She's lagging behind there, just sniffing about and enjoying herself. And number two, I want to keep the wheels on the old jalopy turning. I want to keep the engine ticking over. As I've stated in previous vlogs, vehicles do not like sitting idle on drives. They're built as moving vehicles, and that's what they like to do. So I'm keeping the old wheels on the jalopy turning as well. So, folks, a big thank you to everybody out there who last night left comments on yesterday's vlog. I've not had as much problems yesterday with the old internet. I uploaded pretty quickly my vlog, so I'm quite happy with that. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to find the best way of keeping that file size small. So I'm doing a little bit of experimentation as time goes on. And that's why, another reason I've come out to the countryside today. There's no trees in the background close to. I think that's causing problems as well, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, as I said, a big thank you to everybody who left comments. And it seems that the topic of mandatory vaccinations is a very hot one. And many of you have your own thoughts and your own ideas and your own opinions on this, which I encourage. I certainly do. It's good to hear other people's thoughts and other people's ideas on things. But one of the things that many of you out there seem concerned about is any ramifications or any sanctions that will be placed on you if, when a vaccine is developed and offered to the UK public, if you refuse it. It seems many of you are concerned what will happen if you say no. Well, I'll tell you here and now, Hot Potters, what will happen, if you like. Simply, a note will be put on your file at your GP surgery stating the date you was offered the vaccine and the fact that you've refused it. And that'll be an end of the matter. It won't be recorded for any other reason, no Orwellian purpose or anything like that. The only reason it'll be recorded is if you at a later date decide you want to sue your GP practice because you feel you wasn't offered a COVID-19 vaccination, they'll be able to pull up your records and say, hang on a minute, Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so, you actually was offered it on such and such a date when you came in with a bad foot or whatever it was you'd gone down for. Now, if you do go down to your GP again in the future after refusing it, they may quickly look up your records, say, I see you haven't had your COVID-19 vaccination. Would you like it? And if you refuse, once again, they'll put a note on your file stating, you know, the date and the fact that you refused it. And they'll keep doing this ad infinitum until you state that you no longer want to be offered it. Now, how do I know that it'll work this way? Have I got some insider information? No. That's how doctors deal with every vaccination going, from chicken pox through to flu jabs. They offer it you. If you refuse it, it's completely up to you. And that's what will happen with this one. Now, speaking of the mandatory vaccination business, I had someone come on last night and leave a rather abusive diatribe. It was a big, long post. And unfortunately for them, because they'd swore in it, YouTube's automatic filters picked it up and put it in quarantine for me to either approve or delete. Now, I'll spare you the diatribe, but I'll just summary it up for you, basically. And what they basically left for me was that I was a sheep, I was asleep, and I needed to wake up soon, otherwise I would lose everything that I own due to this current crisis. I can't see what's going on, you know, I'm too blasé, basically. And I'll be honest with you, I do believe in some people who come out with conspiracy theories. After all, if we didn't question things, we'd still believe that the earth is flat, wouldn't we? And I don't want to get into that one, by the way, Hot Potters, so I think we'll leave that one there. But as I say, if people didn't question things, we'd be in a very poor state. So I do believe in some conspiracy theory people. However, those that make the more outlandish claims, and I think we all know what we're talking about when I say that, those people, no. The burden of proof is on those people to prove their outlandish claims, in my eyes, not on someone to disprove them. you know, it's up to them really. I'll just close this gate. A bit of country code practice here. Make sure that gates are closed. And off we go again. Yeah, it's the burden of proof is on them if they're making the outlandish claims, and they don't realise that. And when you break down what their outlandish claims are, they have no proof. And then they resort to calling you a sheep, you're asleep and things like that. And to be honest, that cuts no ice with Mr H. If you've got proof, I'll listen to it. I always deal in hard fact and proof. That's what I want if I'm going to believe a claim. You know, I leave ifs, coulds, maybes, possibilities to TV licensing. Speaking of which, that nicely... See how these all seamlessly tie together, these vlogs, Hot Potters. Many of you out there have been asking, when is it time for another TV licensing letter, Mr H? Well, I haven't received one this month, and I don't think, judging from what I've seen elsewhere, etc., I don't think anybody else has. And the reason for that is they've probably, crap itter, as I like to call them, they've probably furloughed all the staff. And as well, the BBC have got to keep up the pretense. They can't go around making claims in letters that we're knocking on a door every 6 seconds, etc., etc., when we all know that non-essential staff have basically been grounded and being kept at home. So they've probably chosen not to send out any threatograms. However, if you have received a threatogram, if indeed you are a legally licensed free person, like Mr H is, then by all means, please let me know in the comments section below, and maybe mine is just late. Who knows? I've been struggling to get to my first dirty dozen of those things. It always seems that either they stop sending them before I get to the magic number 12, or something like this comes in and fate intervenes. Anyway, we'll have to see, but that's the reason why I've not done a letters from TV licensing this month. And I don't expect to get one because, like I said, I think they've stopped sending them out temporary. They've probably suspended them. Once this is all over with, no doubt they'll come out thick and fast once again. Anyway, folks, I hope you're all well. I hope you're all coping okay with this lockdown period now that we're at day 31. And I hope you're all in good spirits. I'm certainly enjoying making these vlogs, although I am looking forward to eventually returning back to the normal stuff that I do. You know, it is good doing these, and it's been a big learning curve regarding doing these, because normally what I would do, I would just stand here and I'd do a piece to camera. Where when you're moving along with a camera, it's a lot different, as I've found out. You know, you've got to start looking at pixelation and things like that. And I'll be honest with you, there was a time when you used to do YouTube, and all you needed to do was point a camera at yourself and just completely upload the raw footage up to YouTube. But now, you know, people, you as the viewers, you demand a better product. So you've got to put a little bit of an intro on things, and you've got to make it a little bit more different than the next person's video in order to get it watched, basically. So a big thank you to everybody who does watch these videos. You make it all worthwhile. As I've stated, if my views started plummeting to something like 200, 300 views per video, then I would probably wrap this up, doing these vlogs, simply because the amount of effort that it would take to make them isn't worth what I would get out at the other side. But that isn't happening. They're maintaining a regular viewership and a regular commentatorship, if that's a word. If it isn't a word, it is now, isn't it? Anyway, folks, I'll just quickly whip the camera around and I'll show you the lovely view here in this particular part of the countryside on this, what's shaping up to be a glorious sunny morning. Just look at that. I love this particular part of the countryside. You know, it's far enough away from where I live to feel as though you're away from the town, but it's close enough to the countryside to get the full benefit of the countryside. Anyway, folks, as always, we're coming up to that magic 10-minute mark. I do try and keep these to the 10-minute mark, as everyone knows. A big thank you to Vinny out there, who left a comment yesterday. The little pebble that I found and I featured on the end of yesterday's vlog. Apparently, it's part of some kind of game. You know, if you see these pebbles, you go online and you claim that you've seen it and things like that. So many thanks for that, Vinny. I might partake in that game. You never know. Seeing as I I've got very little else to do these days like everyone else. Anyway, folks, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here. So until the next time, when it'll be day 32 of the UK lockdown, I'll bid you a fond farewell, stay safe as always, and bye-bye for now.